the winners. Now let me please introduce to you our chairman of the board of the Miss America organization, Mr. Sam Haskell.
Thank you so much, and a very special shout out to Genevieve and Elizabeth and Regan and Ann Blair. You know, this organization is all about service, and when you think about the fact that what distinguishes us is community service, what distinguishes us is talent, what distinguishes us is scholarship, with the service component being as important as it is, these young women all exemplify what true service to their communities is all about. And that's what the Miss America organization is about. And we will continue to embrace that and make that a very important part of our journey together. You know, there's lots of conversation always about how do you make Miss America more relevant? How do you bring Miss America into the 21st century? Well, I believe that the only way that can be done is by honoring the tradition that makes us who we are, by honoring the 91 years of contestants and winners of this title who have made Miss America an American pop icon. And while we can change the music in the show, and while we can create different ways of presenting the competition, what we must always hold on to is our tradition. And part of our tradition is that which is exemplified in our former Miss Americas. And that's what today is about at this point, is for you to meet those who have joined us and have them come out here and take your questions and let you become a part of their journey today. So with no further ado, I'd like to start with Miss America 1948, BB Shop Wearing. Celebrating her 50th anniversary, and I'll be presenting her on stage tonight to honor her, Miss America 1962, Maria Beal Fletcher. Miss America 1963, Jacqueline Mayer. Miss America 1965, Vonda Van Dyke Scotes. Miss America 1974, Rebecca King Dreamer. Miss America 1977, Dorothy Benham. Miss America 1978, Susan Perkins Botsford. Miss America 1981, Susan Powell. And ladies, we'll move to the frontier now. Miss America 1987, Kelly Cash. Miss America 1992, Carolyn Sapp. Miss America 1999, Nicole Johnson. You were working it last night, Nicole. I was proud of that little scooter you had. Our Millennium Miss America 2000, Heather French Henry. Our September 11th Miss America 2002, Katie Harmon Ebner. 3 of my daughters. Miss America 2008, Kirsten Haglund. Miss America 2009, Katie Stam-Erk. And our reigning Miss America 2011, Teresa Scanlon from the great state of Nebraska. Teresa, come up here. I'm going to turn this over to Teresa for just a minute, but before I do, and I've said this all week long, this child, this young woman, has been an incredible Miss America, and in all her travels, we've gotten constant reports about how lovely she is, how gracious she is, how kind she is to children, about service. And today is what service is about. All these women gave a year of service to this organization, and Teresa has been exemplary.
Thank you very, very much. It's truly incredible to be back here, and it's an honor and a privilege to have served as your Miss America and represented the country this year. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here, for supporting this organization. As many of you know, there's a reason why there are 4 points on the Miss America crown, and they stand for style, success, scholarship, and service. And the tenet that we're focusing on today is service. It's such a huge part of this organization. It's such a huge part of everything that we stand for. And as you could see through the quality of life winners and through every single woman on this stage, they have all dedicated their lives to service. And if there's one thing that has inspired me throughout this year, it is meeting those across the country who have dedicated their life to giving to others, to serving those around them, to making a positive impact in their community and in their world. And I think that we all know that service requires a lot of humility. And many people, they look at the contestants, the women who are a part of the Miss America organization, and they don't see that side of things. They see the confidence, they see the poise, absolutely. That's a huge part as well. But so often, when I go to elementary schools and I'm talking about service and I'm saying you have to be humble to be able to serve and reach out to others, and I ask, what's humility? And I get these hands raised and these children say, it's like when you fall down the stairs and people laugh at you. No, that's humiliation. They don't understand that there's a difference. But the problem is that I think so many of us think that way. We think of humiliation and humility in the same sentence. They're not the same thing. And I think that's something that we're often so missing in society, is that idea that humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less and others more. It's not putting others above you, it's putting them before you. That's what service is all about. Deciding to put your own comfort, your own personal security aside, and deciding that others come first. And that's such a huge part of what this organization represents, that when you become Miss America, it's not about glorifying yourself for a year, it's about doing all you can to serve others and reach out for a year. And just in case I ever start to forget that, my family makes sure to keep me humble through the year. I'm the middle of 7 children, and so 1 week after I won Miss America, my mother called me and informed me that she had moved me out of my bedroom and moved my sister in. That's what happens when you're from a big family. You're not sad and you miss your older sibling because they've left. You celebrate that there's more room in the house and you get your own bedroom. So they quickly expanded and just got over it very, very quickly. So I was home for Easter. I was only home 3 weeks out of the year, 1 week for Easter, a couple weeks for Christmas. And when I was home for Easter, I came home and all of a sudden I realized I've been in all of these fancy hotels. I always had a room to myself, and I come home and I go, where am I going to sleep? And my father pointed to a mattress on the basement floor and handed me the sheets to make it with. They continue to keep me humble and make sure my head is never too large to fit out the door. But other than that, I think this entire year does the same thing for each and every one of us. And that is something that I hope the entire world can see when they see the Miss America organization, when they see the contestants that are a part of it, when they see every single Miss America who has served her country. I hope that they can see the compassion, the humility, the service, the selflessness that is exemplified by each of these women, because this is what we strive to do each and every day. That it's not about us. It's about the people in our country that we can positively impact. And so I thank you all so, so much for, again, being a supporter of this organization and all that we stand for and all that we strive to do every day in a world where sometimes these attitudes aren't always the most the biggest thing that oftentimes aren't exemplified in so many other areas of society, that we will continue to try to do that, and that's what this organization is all about. So I encourage everybody to, of course, watch the Miss America pageant this Saturday, when we will be crowning that next woman who will serve her country for a year, sacrifice her own life, put aside her own personal desires, and reach out and serve every member of our country. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Teresa. So if any of you have questions for specific Miss Americas, you can ask them now. Or if you would like to ask a question that we can have them all answer briefly, we can do that too. Here's one over here.
Hi, Rebecca King Freeman. You made history this year by being the first Miss America to watch your daughter compete in the program. And I'd like to ask you what the experience of watching your daughter compete has been like and how it might have impacted your view of the program.
It's been horrific. It's far harder to be a parent. I empathize, now I certainly sympathize with the parents that have a contestant. I'm so proud of her. She's doing so well, and she it exemplifies everything that a parent can hope for. I can't imagine. We have one more night tonight, and friends are flying in, and I never knew I had some relatives that and I'm calling the office and saying I need one more ticket. All the time. One more room, which we all know is hard to come by. And so it's been, my husband and I, thank goodness he's here this time, he has sworn all over the Miss America pageant for years because he knows that this is my fiefdom, and he just has been my valet every time that we come here, and he has to stop the wheelchair and stop this and say hello. But we've come through this together. She's been living at home for the last 6 months, and I remember the room issue. My guest room is now back to her room, and I have stuff from an apartment all over the house and everywhere. We have, the upstairs is now her suite because there's so much stuff in there. But anyway, that's enough said. It has been a wonderful learning experience for all of us.
Next question. Oh, don't be shy. Yes, ma'am.
What's been the hardest thing for you on the road?
I think learning to keep your entire house, home, and belongings in 2 suitcases under 50 pounds each is very difficult. I didn't know it was actually possible, but it has been, and you learn to be very minimalistic. But that's been a difficult part, of course, on the physical side of things. I think more than anything, it's just the huge change that you go through in one day. It's all of a sudden your life is so different. And for me, I had just graduated high school 6 months prior, come from a town of 8,000 in Nebraska, and all of a sudden I was whisked away to New York City for the year. And I remember my mom was telling me that final night, she was so excited I was doing well because she kept on seeing dollar signs go off in her head. Scholarship money, scholarship money. Every time I made it further, more scholarship money. But then when I won, she goes, oh no, wait, that wasn't supposed to happen. First runner-up would have been great. That would have been plenty of scholarship money, but now she's gone. Now I'm not going to see her for an entire year. So it was very, very different. I mean, in high school, I was working at our local grocery store. I was a carry-out, bagging groceries for people and carrying them out to their cars. And then all of a sudden, my job description is very, very different this year. So as you can imagine, just a huge change has come over my life, but it's not something that I was not prepared for. But it's been a huge learning experience, and I feel like I've grown up about 35 years in 12 months. But it's been incredible, it really has.
Over here, yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Mal Madison, Tennessee. You all talked about the 4 points of the crown. I'm just wondering, where do all of you keep your Miss America crown?
Phoebe?
I have a playroom downstairs as a little corner, and when we moved there 30 years ago, I decided I'll pull everything out. I never did display anything when I was growing up my family. I said, it was about time I put it out. So it sits on a shelf with all my other memorabilia and beautiful pictures of the past.
Oh, that's great. Maria, let's just work our way down.
I have mine secure in a shoebox in storage, but I have been known occasionally to bring it out with the other 2 crowns and just wash them in my sink to make sure they're still sparkling.
Jackie.
I was in Boston the day of pigs. I can remember that on television. And I found a plastic ice box. And it was now they have silver, beautiful ice boxes that you put ice in it. And this was a plastic one with, on the top, it says ice. And the crown just fit in there. And so that's where it is. And it has always been in that box. Every once in a while I'll take it out in order to put it on a little girl who is just really excited about Miss America. But I guess it is hidden because especially when I go away, I'm not sure whether someone may come into my house and try to get it. But it's in the ice box.
Actually, I sleep in mine. No, I'm kidding. Actually, we all do from time to time. You know, my mother bought me a beautiful gold jewelry box that's glass-sided, and that's where it sits.
Oh, that's great. Becky.
My original crown was taken from me a few years ago while I was on an appearance, and graciously, when I was serving on the board of directors of the Miss America organization, they gave me a new crown, and it's very exciting to have it replaced. It's in the crown box now, and it's kind of hidden away. We bring it out on special occasions.
Dorothy.
Mine has always been in a butter cookie tin. Because the first week as Miss America, we were whisked off to New York, and we got to the Barclay Hotel, and my traveling companion, Peggy McMahon, said, "Dorothy, do you like cookies?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Good, eat the whole tin, because your crown's going with it." So I obliged. And I've moved so many times that I'll take it out every once in a while when I have a speaking engagement, but I carried it in the cookie tin, and then I showed everybody that's how I carried it.
Susan.
And I got the same, well, a different cookie tin, but nonetheless, the Danish, the blue cookie tin from Peg. So mine is still in the cookie tin. But unlike Miss Miracle here, as we call her, I could eat the whole cookie box and blow up like that. But Dorothy has 6 children, eats a whole cookie box, and looks like she'd be easy to hate if she weren't so easy to love.
Susan Powell.
Well, I was also of the cookie tin generation, and mine took it quite a beating in that cookie tin, and it was actually, I sat on it, it was replaced midway through the year, and I think I was in a pickup truck in Oklahoma with my dad driving 90 miles an hour, and I realized that I was sitting on the cookie tin, and the prongs went, "Rrr." But when it was replaced, and it stayed in that cookie tin forever, and about 2 years ago, I gifted a box, a proper box to put it in. And it's always been in the museum in my hometown, the Old Town Museum in Elk City, Oklahoma, with a huge display of my crowns there for all little school children to get on the bus and go see the crown. And I took it out for the 90th. I took it out of the museum for the 90th last year and brought it home to New York City, put it on a shelf in its new box, and was promptly, I am not kidding, 2 weeks later, robbed by a professional thief who stole every single piece of my good jewelry. I mean, they were professional, according to the detectives who took on the case. But I was thinking, oh my God, and I went to the shelf where my crown had been, and I looked at it, and they had taken it out of the box, looked at it, and thrown it back on the bed. And so, for anybody who's worried if their crown will be stolen, they're not interested.
We'll come down to Kelly.
Well, I was of the generation of the box, which I'm sure everyone has the box that the crown fits in so very nicely and says Miss America with your year, and maybe now the name. Mine didn't have the name. But mine stayed in the box for about 24 years, and then my daughters started competing in Miss Tennessee Outstanding Teen, and they started having a few crowns, and people would ask about them. So now the crowns are displayed on my grand piano. I call it a grand piano, so I had not displayed them for years. And much to Mal's delight, who asked the original question, they are displayed because he borrows my crown from time to time but he's a teacher in the Jackson public school system, and he does every now and then a day where we look at where the kids get to look at the pageant and see the scholarship opportunities and see what it's like in the Miss America system and how much you can gain to go to college. And it's a really neat little thing that he does. It's actually a middle school, correct? A middle school. So these middle school kids in Jackson, Tennessee know about the Miss America system, and he borrows the crowns and he displays them. And this year, with it being my 25th year, he did a really nice display, borrowed both crowns, or maybe all three crowns. They're both crowns, Miss Tennessee and Miss America. And even the Jackson a television station came out and did a little story on it, so thank you, Mel. But now my crown is finally displayed on my piano.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for that question. I have to say, for 20 years, this is our 20th anniversary for myself, and it's an amazing story where all these women, men, children, they just want to see it, they want to hold it, they want to touch it. It is really a treasure to have that. So, as these women, I sleep in it, I vacuum in it, I share it with other women, but having 3 children in the last 5 years, I have decided that it is the best rattle distraction for changing diapers. So I pull that out, and my kids have each played with it, and it is amazing how it just distracts them, and I can get that diaper on really fast. It's shiny, shiny, shiny bling. But I have to say, it represents just an amazing honor. And thank you to all of you sponsors. Thank you to all of you wonderful volunteers that continue year after year to let us have that amazing title. Thank you.
That's very sweet, Carolyn. And yes, thank you to everybody that's here that helps empower this organization. My crown is in a box on a shelf in my office, mainly because it's held together with paper clips that an 8th grade class designed to fix it because it had broken. So it is more beautiful to me than it's ever been because it represents so many people sharing in this story and the inspiration of the moment that we've all shared.
Thanks, Nicole. Well, actually, I'm going to tell on myself a little bit. I'm very blessed to actually have 2 crowns. And Sam, I don't know if you know this, but you didn't ask for my old crown back when you represented me with my original crown. And it will not be going back to But the night I was crowned with the special Millennium Crown, the organization took it back and put it on display. And so I got the traditional silver and crystal crown, which of course means just as much to me as the Millennium Crown because it's what I traveled with for 7 years. I still am on a speaking circuit. I still do a lot of veterans and homeless veterans events, and it's important to me that our men and women who serve our country understand that there are still people out there who appreciate their service. And the crown to me never really represented me, but it represents their service and sacrifice. So when Sam and Phyllis graciously represented that wonderful crown back to me, I did keep the silver crown. It's in its little box. It is quite dilapidated as well from years of use. But the gold crown still travels with me, so it's in its box and is actually here in Las Vegas. I think it's very important that young women, especially, who come to the pageant, who are competing, can see that it's a tangible dream, that we are the same as they. They had dreams, we had dreams, they had dreams. And I think I've probably crowned many of you in this room as well. I've seen on Facebook, thanks. So that's what I do with my crown.
Well, my crown for many, many years stayed in its box, in its original box, on a shelf in my office, and especially while my children were very, very young, it stayed there just to keep it safe.
And now I have moved it into my piano room, and it sits in a glass case that my mother gave me. And I should have known better. I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 6.5-year-old son. That crown daily is removed from that box. I walk into the piano room to practice, and I look in there and I think, where's the crown today? Seriously, it's like, where's Waldo trying to find this crown around the house? But they love it. They really have a fun time trying it on. Even my son thinks it's really funny. And in fact, as I was preparing to leave this week, my daughter said, Mommy, are you going to win again? I said, not this year, baby. Not this year, Mommy's too old. Not going to happen. But I like all of the other ladies, really value the crown, not for necessarily what it gave to me personally, but what it represented. And I always turn the crown over and look at the circular nature of it, because to me it represented really all of the people that helped to give me the opportunity as Miss America. Those that brought me from, like Teresa, being a very young girl, 19 years old when I started in the program, working at Gap, to having a myriad of opportunities that I would have never been given had it not been for that. And it also represents the class of ladies that I competed with. And it's, like Carolyn, it's my 10-year anniversary this year. I can't even believe it. It's, now I do feel old, really, truly, but we have a picture of our group of ladies praying on September 12th. And USA Today took this picture, and it's something that we value so very greatly. But it's us in a circle, the entire group of 52 of us, along with the Miss America staff, and those from ABC that telecast our pageant that year. So every time I look at that crown, I think of that picture. It means a lot.
Wow, don't want to have to follow that. But that's, wow. What an incredible story, an incredible picture of what this organization is for our country. What a special year that was for you. My crown is at my mom and dad's house outside of Detroit, Michigan. I am in Atlanta, so it stays in a beautiful box there. Actually, the box itself, although it was really, really gorgeous, it was not the most durable box in the world, as it broke many times on the road and had to be repaired. That was better than the crown itself being broken, although by the end of the year it starts to, I think it senses that the year is about to be over. And one of the points then it just kind of, like Susan described, just went, just kind of decided to sit down. But luckily I was able to have the crown fixed, so now it's whole, and it sits in a beautifully remade box by the mom of a former Miss Michigan, or the dad of a former Miss Michigan actually makes these beautiful custom designed crown boxes. And so it's in a very durable, beautiful box. It sits at home in Michigan. And it's actually pretty neat because then when I do get to go home to see my family, it's special. I sometimes go into the guest room where it sits on a nice table and, I can take it out and look at it again, and it's really special. And I think the further away that I get from it, and Katie probably, and Carissa and Teresa, you'll experience this too, those next couple years are really interesting years after you win. And you're just 2 years out, 3 years out, and you're transitioning back into life, and myself back into school or back into a job or being married. And it's a really interesting time. And to go back, and then the further away that you get from it, to look at that crown again, you realize just what a gift of an experience the year was. And I still look at the crown, and it is so beautiful. I mean, the state crowns are nice, and the local crowns are nice, but that Miss America crown is so gorgeous, like just aesthetically pleasing. It is just really beautiful, and it's a real honor to have worn it and to share the stage with these amazing women.
I don't know who asks more to wear my Miss America crown, my 6 and 8-year-old nieces or my best friend. Everything with my Miss America crown is as it was throughout my entire year as Miss America. Very early on in my year, I think it was actually during my homecoming, I got a picture. I'm in my Miss America gown that I was crowned in at my homecoming, and my 6 and 8-year-old niece, who are basically like my children, have their little tiaras on, and we got a picture together. And I took that picture. It's so special to me because
this organization is all about the young girls who grow up to dream about being a princess and realizing that that dream can come true with so much substance and integrity and so much positivity that will not only change their life, but change the lives of thousands of people around them. And so I took that picture of myself and my nieces and put that in my crown box, and that picture is still there to this day, along with several other pieces of memorabilia, a little prayer that I traveled with, and also a stone, which a very special story, if I have a moment to share. Right after I was crowned Miss America, of course, it was time to replace my title as Miss Indiana. And we had to go back and offer to the first runner-up, who at that point had decided to move on to different things. Second runner-up, same thing. Third runner-up, fourth runner-up. No one in the top 5 was able to take the title, so we actually had to go back and find out who placed 6th. And I cannot tell you how blessed we were of who placed 6th. It was a woman who had competed in the organization for 6 years and is the epitome of what this organization is. And I could not have been happier to crown her. Well, she took her Miss Indiana crown, something that she had worked so hard for, and had many of the stones replaced with the favorite color of stone of the people in her life that mean most to her. And I was so blessed to be one of those stones that she replaced in her crown. And she took the stone that she took out of her crown and gave that to the person who replaced that stone in her crown. And so that stone is also in my crown box. So all these little meaningful things, and it sits in the closet in my guest room, and I love sharing it with people. It travels with me on occasion as I continue my speaking circuit as well. And I love especially being able to put it on little girls' heads and just seeing their eyes light up, and you realize how much it means to them that this is a tangible dream. And I remember when I was going through this system and I got to meet Heather French Henry for the first time and was bawling and like bowing to her because I didn't know what to do. I was like, Heather French Henry. And she had her crown with her and she crowned me with it, and it's one of my favorite and most dear pictures as well. And that's what that crown represents to everyone. And so it is so precious and so dear. And you just want to share it with the world, because I always say I might have been the only one to be able to wear that crown and sash during that year, but I wasn't the only one that was Miss America, because I was only able to be Miss America because of every single person that helped make me into who I am. And I'm sure every single woman on this stage can say the same thing. So that crown is shared by everyone in my life. And so when my 6 and 8-year-old niece, and now when my younger niece and even my nephew ask to see it or play with it or wear it, I love being able to share that with them.
And I believe mine is in the box in the hands of my tour manager. Pretty simple. But also within my hometown is having a museum, and they would like to display it there, so I'll probably donate it there next year as well. But I think this is probably the group that, again, understands that most. The colored stone idea is a great idea, but coming to this week, I was just trying to think of what I could do for each of the contestants that you've been seeing this week, to try to encourage them in some way or something that I could give to them. And so I removed 53 of the small stones from the very bottom row of my crown to give to each of them, because only one girl is going to win that crown on Saturday, but every single one of those women deserve it. And I cannot imagine what that may feel like when that dream does not come true, but every single one of those women has been serving their country for the past 6 months, and will go back and continue to do so for the next 6 months. And they are the ones who are representing this organization across the country. It's not just Miss America, it's not just me, it's not the next woman who will become Miss America who's been doing this job. They have. They've been going to the small towns in each of their states that I could never reach, the people that I could never meet, and they have been exemplifying what Miss America is all about. And to the girls that they meet, they are Miss America, even if they're a state title holder. They'll always be Miss America in the hearts of the people from their state. And I want them to just have a piece of that, to understand that they have served a huge role in my year, And so I set each of those jewels in a little necklace so that they'll have a necklace with a stone from Miss America. You can't, and so you won't be able to tell on the crown. It's the very back row. It's very small. So when I'm wearing the crown on the final night, there's not going to be huge holes missing. But at least I just hope that they do understand the role that they play and how huge that is. And that I so appreciate what each of them are doing, and that I admire each of these women tremendously, not only because for the next 7 years, most of them will still be older than me, but also I'm thinking about my 10-year anniversary, and like I'll barely be older than those contestants. But I do admire and look up to every single one of them, and I want them to understand how important that is.
Sam, I have a quick crown story, and you know it. Nicole knows it, and if Erica and Heather
And Susan knows it.
and Susan knows it. When we went to Afghanistan, before we went, Heather Whitestone wrote us emails. Everyone bring their crowns. Well, all of us said, oh, because you try to pack as carefully as you possibly can, and I wasn't about to put my crown and have it broken. And so we said, no. She arrives with hers. It was the most precious thing you could ever have imagined. She put it on fellas' heads, girls' heads, bosses, majors, generals' heads.
Generals.
I mean, it was the highlight, and we all said, we were wrong, Heather, but one was enough. So her crown went to Afghanistan with us, and it's been around the world.
That's so cool.
Yes.
That's so cool. Now, Oscar Garcia from AP down here. I saw you raise your hand earlier, so you have a question.
Thanks. It's for Teresa and anybody else who's willing to answer. When contestants this year and contestants in previous years ask you for advice on, what to do this week, on what to do Saturday night, what kinds of questions do they ask you? What kind of advice are they seeking? And are they asking the right questions? If you were going to give yourself advice a year ago, go back in time and all that stuff.
Right. I think the difficult part is that the advice or the questions that you ask specifically about just this week or about this night is very different than necessarily the questions you may ask about doing the job or about preparing for the 6 months prior. So I think more importantly than just getting here and saying what's the most important thing about this week is 6 months ago when they were winning their state titles, many of them were asking, what can I do over the next 6 months to prepare to do this job to the best of my ability should I win? But at this point as well, something that I was prepared for, that I think every contestant should be, is not just to the moment you're crowned, but be prepared for the entire night after, for every step after. I had a gentleman who was explaining to me, if you win, you'll go to the press conference, you'll do this, explaining each step of the way. So you had each of those things prepared. And I think just even mentally going through and visualizing each of those steps can make it such more realistic and more of a reality. Is not just life ends when they place the crown on your head, but thinking past that and thinking what does happen after that when you walk off that stage, and being prepared for that is even more important than just being prepared through Saturday night.
Anyone else?
I'd like to say one thing, and that is looking back on 50 years of the Miss America pageant, and I'm so grateful that we're still on the map, big time, thanks to Sam and his organization. Thank you, Sam, for keeping us in. But I'd also like to add that, along the way, there are well-meaning people and there are volunteers without whom this organization and these women would not be here. And but when push comes to shove, you're out on the stage by yourself, or you're answering the question, you hope to answer it, that the reporter has just asked, then all of that other well-meaning advice, all of it disappears. It needs to disappear, because then you have to be prepared to rely on the inspiration that comes from within, from that higher self that speaks through B.B. Shaw, or through Jackie, or through this precious, all of these sisters up here, these precious women, that higher voice that speaks. We need to hear that portion of the girl speak, not the ego, not what she's been advised to say. Look, when you get this kind of question, this is where you go with your answer. And what it takes is, and what I had difficulty in learning from time to time, because I would forget this, is calm yourself, be focused, and take a moment to be beautiful. Not physically beautiful, because all those moments are gone. There's no time for that. But when I say to take a moment to be beautiful, pause, take a breath, and let that higher self speak through your mouth, and let it be not the answer which the ego Maria thinks that reporter is going for and wants to hear, but the authentic answer that only the higher self knows how to deliver.
Thank you, Maria. Any other questions? Thank you.
Hi, I'm from Amway, Lindsay, and I just want to say what joy it has been to work with Teresa this year. She's been an absolute jewel. But I want to learn a little bit more about what you're going to do with your $50,000 annual scholarship. Are your plans still the same? Have they changed?
Yes, actually, and it has become a great situation for myself. Like I said, I'm the middle of 7 children, and I would like to pursue a degree in law. So back when I was, 12, 13 years old, my dad made it very clear very quickly that scholarships were going to be the way to do that. So I needed to find a way to earn scholarships, and so that's why I started competing at 13. So at this point, I've earned over $62,000 in scholarships from the organization. And because of this year as Miss America, the school that I'm going to for my undergrad, Patrick Henry College, offered me a full ride. So my first 4 years of college, absolutely everything for the first 4 years, which means I will be deferring all of my scholarships until law school, which will make a huge impact there as well. I'll have 3 years of law school. My goal is to go to Harvard for law, and that is certainly not an inexpensive school. So that will make a big difference as well, in addition to the fact that over the next few years, continuing to do speaking engagements and things, I will be continuing to save money for school. Quite honestly, prior to being a part of this organization, I had no idea what I was going to do with that, and I guess I had kind of resigned myself to the fact that I would graduate from law school with 6-figure debt, as many attorneys do. My father, when he went through medical school, had to pay his entire way and had loans for many, many, many years in 6 figures. And I had just expected that that was the way things were going to be. And my life looks drastically different now because of the scholarships that Amway's provided me.
And we appreciate Amway paying these scholarships for us. We have someone in the back.
Yesterday in the press conference, Laura Spencer talked about Miss America. It's not that she's not relevant, it's just people don't know about it. What advice would you give to the organization to help create not the relevance, but the awareness of what all of these contestants are doing?
Are you asking me, or would you like one of the ladies?
The ladies.
Okay.
Casey, I think that's a tough question because I think the organization over the past many years has really done an exemplary job of trying to keep Miss America relevant, especially in the media. I don't think the problem is necessarily whether the Miss America organization can help keep Miss America relevant. It's whether the American public can understand and celebrate exemplary young women that don't wear short skirts and don't, or I shouldn't say, that aren't trying to gain fame from merely reality shows and bad behavior. This program celebrates young women who want to be role models, who want to celebrate the best of what it means to be a woman, a young woman, an independent woman, an intelligent woman, and a beautiful woman. So I think the question should be asked of the public, of
how can we better as society appreciate the good in people rather than the bad, and how do we celebrate that?
That's extremely well said, Katie, and I just want to add that there's a lot of things that this organization could do and change in order to sell ourselves more, but I think the important question to ask is at what cost? And are we willing to pay that cost? And the integrity of the women up here as well as the contestants, I think that we see a larger goal than just more Twitter followers or more publicity. That yes, we need that in order to do our job, but we have a really strong base of people that support this program, that are involved in this program, and that are seeing daily with the work of each Miss America what this program does. And so we're going to keep doing that and keep moving forward with the times and keep being awesome like we are, because that's just what we do. Style, fabulousness, that's one of the points of the crown. But I think that we can do all of that and continue to impact individual lives as we go. And I think that if we did sacrifice some of our morals, integrity, values that aren't outdated, they are totally current, that if we sacrifice any of those, then we wouldn't have the same impact on individual lives. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to impact individual lives. That's what we've been in the business of doing for 91 years, and we will continue for another 91. Quickly add, being Miss America in 2009 and having the opportunity to work with a lot of the new sponsors for this organization, it was astonishing to sit in some of those meetings and talk to them about the organization. And as you're describing Miss America and what it stands for and these 91 years of integrity and that service, scholarship, style, and success that we base our organization on, and you can see the wheels turning in their heads, because once they know, then it's amazing the support that comes behind that. So Miss America is relevant, and we're not about being the number one thing right now, because Miss America is timeless. Miss America will be here for decades to come. We're not here to be on People magazine and do all of that, because that is so timely. It's not timeless, and Miss America is timeless. So I want to thank Amway, Joseph Ribkoff, Express, all of our amazing sponsors who just get it. You just get it. And because of your support, you allow us to, as Kirsten and as Katie said, change the world and impact lives. So thank you for getting it, for realizing that, and realizing how relevant and how important that is for the world we live in.
I want to give you something tangible, though, as a parent of a daughter who is mesmerized by this. What I would love for the organization that I care so much about to preach and to share more about is about young women who are doing amazing things in service, about young female leaders who are leading generations, because we represent so many different generations here throughout our country and on different types of issues, and that we would emphasize more so the scholastic achievements and the careers that so many of the participants have gone to, because those are the things that I want my daughter to learn, and that's what I want her to glean from this organization. And what we all represent is that we worked incredibly hard. We won a contest. We were given an amazing opportunity, and we carried that forward in our lives to serve people continuously. And that would be a blessing if we had more of that. Absolutely. Every single one of us on stage agree with this, and so I just want to say, from serving this year, from my experience, I can assure every single one of you that this organization is never willing to compromise. I mean, as all of these ladies have said, that is not what we're about. But I have to tell you that I also appreciate that, because the reason that I was a part of this organization, I carefully analyzed everything that I was a part of in my life, because I would like to go into a political career. And you know that in politics, your life is even more closely analyzed than when you win Miss America. And so you have to be so careful about everything that you're affiliated with. And I know going forward, even 100 years down the road, this is never something that I will be ashamed of.
and always something that I can defend, something that will be positive and that will always affect the rest of my life, my education, my career, and my future positively. When I couldn't say the same about other things that I could have been a part of, even other pageant systems that I could have competed in. But I always knew that this was going to be a positive thing in my future and something I would never have to be embarrassed of or ashamed of. And so going forward, really, the organization is taking tremendous steps this year and in the years to come. I'm very excited to see these changes, and I'm sure all of you will be as well, the things that we are doing to have a broader impact, to really highlight the scholarship and service component side of things that many people don't see. And all of us are dedicated to doing that, as I'm sure many of you are going out in your communities and in your states explaining to people the difference that there is between this organization and others. That's something we can all take part in. I mean, it's not just something that all of us are dedicated to, but something that each of you can do. As ambassadors of the organization, you know what it's about. You can go out into your state, your community, and your world and start spreading the word, start letting people know. Because what I've seen this year is to Katie's question, what we're all wondering, are people willing to accept that? What I've seen this year is yes. We have gone as a society so much to one end of the pendulum, we're ready to swing back. That people are longing for something wholesome. They're longing for an example for their young daughters. They're longing for something good. And some compliment that I have gotten more than anything is desperate, desperate parents coming up to me and saying, thank you for being someone that I am comfortable and happy with my daughter looking up to as an example. Because we don't have those types of people in society anymore, and we need that. People are ready for someone like Miss America. They're ready for us to never compromise and stick to our morals and our character and all of those traits we believe in. And the society and our country as a whole is ready to embrace that again. And so we have incredible opportunity in the coming years, and I think we're going to see some great things happening within the organization.
All that these women are is what Miss America is at the very heart. And it is my job to market that with class and integrity and smarts. Marketing is very important, and I don't want anyone to ever lose sight of the fact that we have to get this message out there. And the only way we can let people know what the heart of this organization is by marketing it and through social networking and all the things that are very, very important today. I'm going to remind Kirsten Hagelin of a little story. And this was during the very beginning weeks of her reign. And we obviously had just come to the TLC, the first TLC reality show. And one of my concerns was that this upper tier of ladies, everyone in the country knew who they were. They all knew they were Miss America, and they knew them by name. But I had found when I came into this 7 years ago that no one knew who she was. And I got a lot of criticism for the reality show decision. But that decision helped save this organization. And Kirsten had just been crowned, and she'd come to Los Angeles for a Children's Miracle Network appearance through IHOP. And she had a night off, and I took her to see Wicked, which was playing in Los Angeles. And as we were walking into the theater, several little girls came running up and saying, "Are you Miss America? Are you Miss America? I saw you on TLC." And I thought, yes, it's happening. And it has continued to happen. And it will continue and continue and continue. So thank you all very much for today. Thank you for your support of the Miss America organization. And thank you for coming out to support the heart of what we're about, these women on this stage. God bless you.